Welcome to this webinar on the Talking in Exam project, which Cole Scotland has been facilitating over the last year. My colleague Shirley has been working closely with all the participants, and today is going to give some feedback on how the project has gone and to discuss the use of speech recognition in assessments and exams. So I'm just going to hand over to Shirley, and she's going to share her screen.
Just a quick bit of background on the project. In January last year, we held a seminar supported by the Scottish Qualifications Authority, the SQA, where we discussed the use of speech recognition software in assessments and in examinations. There had been increasing interest in speech recognition recently in Scotland, partly because the technology is now more common and better, and partly because of the introduction of the National Literacy Assessment, where scribes cannot be used for the assessment of writing, but technology, including speech recognition, can. So in June 2015, we ran some free professional learning sessions which were attended by staff from 28 schools and services. We provided everyone with a Dragon NaturallySpeaking version 13 license and a high-quality USB microphone headset. And we set them on their way to get the software installed on a single computer in their school and to try it out with students who they thought would most benefit. We were on call to support schools if required during the project, and some schools did come back with questions or were looking for help. I went out to a few schools to see how their setup was working and enjoyed speaking to some students and hearing from them on how things were going. You're far more likely to get an honest appraisal firsthand than feedback in an electronic survey. And so the last 12 months, schools across Scotland have been trialling the software and feeding back on their progress, or in some cases lack of progress, usually due to some technical hitch with the installation, even as simple factors of not being able to locate the laptop that the software is installed on or can't find the headset, rather than a problem with the software itself. But even these reasons are valid, and sometimes these are the reasons that stop things happening in schools. Just in case there's anyone listening in that's completely new to Dragon NaturallySpeaking software, I'm going to do a quick demo just to show you what it looks like so you can get an idea of how it can be used by students in a school setting. Previous versions of the software required extensive reading of texts in order for the software to familiarise itself with your voice. And this itself proved difficult, if not impossible, for learners who were struggling with literacy. But now Dragon NaturallySpeaking version 13 pretty much works out the box, and that's why it's such a good piece of software to use. You can see at the top of the screen here, I've opened up the software and I now have this toolbar which can be moved anywhere on the screen. I'm going to open up a Word document. And what I've done when I opened up the software, I have chosen my profile. So it remembers everything that I have done previously. And as a single piece of software, you can set up many different profiles. The user just chooses their name, and that brings back everything that's in the memory that they have used before. When I click on the red microphone icon here, it'll turn green, and then it will start listening to me. Delete that. That bit of text appeared a bit soon because I hadn't realised I'd pressed the microphone icon full stop. New paragraph. I'm speaking into the headset and the words are appearing on the screen full stop. Insert before speaking. I am. Go to end. It's really important to use a good headset and not use the internal microphone on the laptop or computer, full stop. It is an ideal way for students who are good verbally to get ideas and answers down on paper, full stop. Or for those who are apprehensive of putting any text down because of they're unsure of their spelling. Full stop. New paragraph. It would be possible for me to navigate round the computer without ever using the keyboard! Exclamation mark. For example, I could dictate a search on the web like this, : Search the web for good vegetarian restaurants in Edinburgh. Click search. Click the microphone off there and you can see it's pulled up a web search for me. So it's really good to know that you can use the Dragon software not just for extended writing pieces, but for web searches, also in emails as well. Just opened up Outlook email here, and I will demo how very quickly you can be writing an email and how you move down from each box here. So clicking into the first box here for the address, I'm going to now click back on the microphone here. jackwilson@hotmail.com. Tab. Summer holidays. Smiley face. Tab. Dear Jack, new paragraph. Just to let you know that I will be on holiday. Select I will. 1. Delete. Go to end. For 6 weeks after Friday! Exclamation mark. New paragraph. I hope that you have a good summer and I look forward to seeing you in August, full stop. Insert before hope. I. Go to end. New paragraph. Kind regards, new line. Shirley. Clicking off there, and you can see how easy that was to write the email and also to edit it just with my voice. Or if I can use the keyboard, I've got that option as well. If I go back to the text here, you can see that the software is actually designed so that you, if you were physically disabled and unable to use the keyboard, then you're operating it all purely with voice commands. I click back on here. Underline internal microphone. Bold keyboard. New paragraph. Open double quotes. This software is really amazing! Exclamation mark. Close double quotes. Go to sleep. That command, go to sleep, just is how you switch off the Dragon software. So you can see how quickly and easily and effective it is. And this is how we have been trying to introduce it to students so that it gives them a boost to think if they have good ideas and they have difficulty physically handwriting or word processing, then to try and give the voice recognition software a shot. So that's Dragon NaturallySpeaking software. It's great and it's really easy to use. As you can see, it's very accurate and I had very little editing to do there. And any editing I did need to do, I could do with my voice. I could listen to it all being played back to me by saying select all, read back, and that would read it out in my own voice. This is a useful thing to know how to do. This supports self-correction, which is another step in the right direction of student independence. This was the key factor fed back to us about the use of the software. It allowed the students to work better, to work quicker, to be more independent, and producing a level of work more in line with their cognitive ability. I'll just go back to the presentation here. The majority of the students using the software as part of the project were either dyslexic, picture there in the top right hand corner, Ailey and Shona, both girls with dyslexia, dyspraxic, visually impaired or autistic. And the picture on the left is Fiona Scott, who's now just finished her first year at Napier University. Fiona is autistic and dyspraxic and is an excellent user of the software. One of the questions we're considering as part of the project is, did it work for all voices? Well, the answer to that is no. It works best when the words are clearly spoken and the user speaks in a continuous manner, either in short phrases or whole sentences. If you hesitate or say or and you're not sure what you're going to say next, then all this is picked up and will appear on the page, and it's then time-consuming to edit all these out and can be frustrating. For students who are hesitant speakers, then it's best for them to plan out in advance what they're going to say, either by making short notes or perhaps using a mind map. Some regional accents, speech impediments, or indistinct speech may result in incorrect transcription. For some it didn't work at first because they mumbled, but then they started to speak more clearly. Such was the motivation and realisation of the potential of the software. And that was a really interesting bit of feedback we got from one school. It was exciting for the students and for the teachers to see their success. Everyone was more encouraged about using it, not just for extended writing pieces, but any time they were involved in either handwriting or word processing. Each school introduced Dragon to students in different ways. We'd recommended using the procedure outlined in speech recognition as AT for writing, which is a publication by Daniel Cochrane and Kelly Key. Here are some of the comments we got back about what worked best. First one was to include all support staff. By doing this, everyone is on board from the start and the student is more likely to continue using it if people understand how it works and how to help them if they get stuck. Plus, they may need a bit of encouragement to give it a go if they're struggling with writing and may feel they don't want to look different by using a piece of assistive technology. To work out the logistics of using the software, what really was meant by this was simple, very, very basic, but to know where the computer is that the license of Dragon had been installed on. If it was a laptop, had it been charged? Was the headset with the laptop in the bag? And to think about where would it be used? Will the student be self-conscious about being overheard? Lots of factors to plan in advance to ensure the experience of using it's good. To teach the speech recognition writing process, it requires the integration of a different set of skills from handwriting or typing, introducing the method of think it, say it, check it, and fix it, rather than just letting the students randomly speak into the microphone, seemed to be really effective in getting the best results. And to make sure it was being used practically from the start. There was no need for them to sit and read lists of vocabulary just so that the software got used to their voice. Use it in context. The students like to use it immediately with assignment work or perhaps writing a personal statement. And it helped embed the idea that the software was useful for all school work. And share good practice across the school. Let people know where you're trialling and how it's working. Teachers in one school that had bought a site license were borrowing the headset so that they could write their school reports with the software. Get everyone on board. That was one of the bits of advice that was key. Don't be setting up the software in a small room and inviting students in one by one to try the software, and when they leave, nobody ever talking about it. And on to the main point of the Talking in Exams projects. Could the students who are using Dragon successfully, could they be confident and able to use it in an assessment or exam setting? In theory, yes, of course, the use of speech recognition in external SQA exams is regarded as an assessment arrangement, and centres can request permission for speech recognition using the SQA assessment arrangement request system. Some students felt less confident about doing this as they felt nervous that something could go wrong with the technology and they would be stuck. Others felt more secure with a human scribe. Others were happy to use speech recognition software with support, i.e. somebody present to make a note of the word that the software did not recognise, and therefore the student didn't have to spend extra time trying to get this word right. The supporter was there, had noted it down, that at this point they said the word, it just didn't have to happen to be picked up by the software. This option still offers the student a level of independence rather than requiring a full-time scribe, while the supporter offers reassuring backup if there's any technical problems on the day as well. All participants in the Talking in Exams project are currently reviewing the draft version of the document called Using Dragon NaturallySpeaking in SQA Assessments and Exams, and all comments and ideas will be taken into consideration, and then the final version of this document will be written up and available to schools. It's really useful to have this document sitting there for anyone to be able to refer to if they have students who are using the software successfully but want to know how they could then go ahead and use it in exams. The Talking in Exam project has focused on Dragon NaturallySpeaking because we think it's an excellent piece of software, and unlike other speech recognition options, it does not require an internet connection to work. On our website, we have information on other options for speech recognition, such as Google Voice Typing, Siri, and the innovative word queue, speak queue, which combines the use of predictive text with speech recognition. That one's definitely worth a look. So we feel that the Dragon NaturallySpeaking, when it's installed in a machine in the school, not requiring an internet connection, it just makes it much more reliable and consistently find that students are performing better with it. But it's good to know what the options are, because they may be out and about and looking for a portable solution and using speech recognition on their phone or a tablet. On June the 2nd, we had a Roundup event to mark the end of the Talking in Exams project. We brought together teachers, students, technical experts, the SQA, software suppliers, and those working in the field of assistive technology. And it really was a great event. The feedback from everyone was very positive, and the students were outstanding in their demo of the use of software, which is never an easy thing to do, a live demo with technology in front of an audience, but they were excellent, relaying their experiences and offering practical tips on how the software could be used wider in school. The purpose of the project was to trial the software, to see if the students gained in confidence as well as academically, to gather evidence, to share good practice and identify issues that were problematic. Those who could see the potential of the software have gone ahead or are in the process of securing a site license so the software can be installed in unlimited machines across the school. And there's currently a fab deal going on from Education Scotland. Not sure how long it will be there for, so it's definitely worth looking into now. For £696, you can buy a site license for the software, which allows you to install it on unlimited machines in your school. One school that we know of has installed it on 200 machines, so such a terrific bargain. Okay, they've had the expense of having to buy additional headsets, but overall they see it's something that can be used widely throughout the school, and they don't want the students have to be relying on installed on one single machine. Over the summer, I'll be writing up a report on the project and drawing conclusions on the viability of using Dragon NaturallySpeaking in SQA assessments and examinations. We'll be finalising the document with the SQA on what schools need to do on a practical level to allow students to use the software. And we'll also continue doing research on the use of speech recognition for students with disabilities and additional support needs. Meantime, we're always happy to hear of other people's experiences, so please get in touch with your stories and anything else that you want to add into the project, whether you were part of it or not. It will help us shape the future for students with additional support needs in the use of assistive technology.
Okay, thanks Shirley. I'll just take screen back and switch that off. So there are some questions, and I'll just scroll back to see them. So thanks, folks, for popping in those questions. And I think the first one is from Ruth, and she's asking, things like commands like new paragraph, are they prescribed? Can you create new ones?
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole set of prescribed commands that are there that Dragon picks up as an actual command and wouldn't type out new paragraph. The next question really talking about, do students pick them up quickly? They really do, and we recommend that they start with the most simple ones of perhaps putting in punctuation just by saying full stop, and then trying out new line, new paragraph, and trying out different commands they might want to use bold or underline. What is useful, there's a cheat sheet, so you can be sitting using the software, and if you're wanting just to check up, you've got a list of commands beside you to use, and that was really useful.
I think if you want to create your own, I think you probably need the professional version, don't you? If you want to create your own commands.
Yes, you can create your own commands there. Like, you can personalize the software in terms of it learning a particular way that you have of saying a word, and you can train it to learn what it is you're actually wanting to say. And in the same way, you have the option to create some of your own commands.
Okay. Hazel asking, do students pick up the commands quite quickly, maybe with a cheat sheet? That might help.
Yeah, the cheat sheet was very helpful, just sitting it there beside the computer when they were using the software, just as a reminder. But a lot of the students that were using the software, I mean, they really got severe literacy difficulties, so really just for them to get a whole page of text down was absolutely the most important thing. So in terms of the punctuation and perhaps thinking about new paragraphs, that wasn't high on their priorities. But somebody that's using it in a slightly different way, that may be more of a focus for them to concentrate on.
And Ruth's asking about, does Dragon automatically write proper nouns? So I'm assuming that it would sort of capitalise those types of things.
Yes, it will. Names, countries, places, anything. It's actually amazingly good at picking up even the most obscure Scottish places when we put the capital letter in. And if there's perhaps a word that has two different meanings, and one being a place name, if it did write it without the capital letter, then you would just say select, choosing the word, and then it would show you options, and one of the options that would come up would be the word with a capital letter, and then you would just choose the number beside it and just simply say choose 1 or choose 2, and then it would immediately put the capital in for you.
I guess as well, if you were using Dragon in something like Microsoft Word, where it kind of identifies nouns, and it would probably put a green underline underneath it to prompt you that it needed.
Yep, absolutely. It would just do everything is the same things that happen in Microsoft Word. Obviously, if you're writing in Word, you're still going to get your green underline, but not the red one, because obviously everything you're saying in Dragon is spelt correctly.
Hazel's asking, and I kind of recognise this question from another programme like Text Help Read and Write, where you can either get the choice to check spelling as you go along or check spelling at the end of the document. So it's the same thing with the editing. Would you do each paragraph, or would you just leave it to the end?
The editing is completely a personal preference. Some students are very particular and will speak one sentence and then go back and edit it. Others are just happy to go back at the end, perhaps by using the select all, play back, listening to it back, and at that point identifying errors that they want to edit. Again, it would just depend on whether you're more keen to encourage the student to get a whole body of text down, or whether you're actually looking for them to be writing in a slower fashion and making sure what they're writing is correct, sentence by sentence.
Okay, Hazel's asking, will it be available for colleges too? And I think that will be associated to when you're in the presentation about SQA. But as far as I know, Hazel, and Shirley might correct me on this, it's been available for colleges for a long, long time. That's colleges, universities, alternative assessments, and you can use Dragon for doing those sorts of things. So I think the answer is yes to that. Has been for quite a while.
Yeah, that's correct. And Dragon is the software is available through the DSA.
Yeah, because you've actually got students who got it on a DSA, haven't you?
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
One of the ones, yeah. Ruth's asking about the purchase for a service setting. Do you mean school by that, Ruth?
On the call website, we've got lots of different options for purchasing. So there would be, obviously, you've got your home version of Dragon, and then you have a premium version, and then a professional version. So I know that some schools, some local authorities prefer for professional versions to be bought for network installations. But there are, I'm not quite sure what service you're referring to, but there are different options on the version of software.
And the headphones is a good question, because Bluetooth is great because you're not tied to a computer, you can walk about. But I think USB ones might be better than the 1/4-inch jacks, those sorts of things. Yeah.
Yeah, we've usually been recommending the USB Andrea headsets are the ones that are coming in about £20. I've used the Bluetooth ones, and they've been effective up to 20 yards away from the laptop with the software installed. But again, generally I would say something that's wired in tends to be more successful. We just try to say probably not relying on the internal microphone from your computer for the best results.
And just to answer Ruth's question, I can hear some seagulls squawking in the background when you're doing that demonstration of Dragon, Shirley. So does background noise, is it a problem? Does it?
Yeah, no, I heard the birds, and I was wondering whether I'd get a couple of squawks added in there, but no, nothing was picked up. We've even done training with Dragon NaturallySpeaking software, and we've had 6-8 people around a table, and everyone been working at it, talking quietly, and it's absolutely fine. If it was a really, really noisy classroom situation and doors banging, it may be just more disruptive for the student as opposed to it particularly picking up any background noise. But ideally, it could be used, should be used in a place where there's as little background noise as possible.
Okay, great for home as well, I suppose.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Okay, I've got a couple of questions, if that's okay, just before we finish up. So where will the final report, you mentioned a final report, where will it appear when it's published?
The final report will appear on the call website. There is a whole section on the Talking in Exams project under speech recognition. So the report, once published, will appear there, but it will be shared widely as well around schools in Scotland.
Okay, now, was it a positive experience for everyone who took part? Was there anything surprising or unexpected arise from trialling the software?
Yeah, I would say definitely overall the feedback has been very positive. And I say the cases where schools maybe didn't have good results really stemmed from initial problems with installation. Obviously, they only had a single license to trial it with. So they really didn't actually get going. So although it was overall not positive, it was only perhaps they didn't get the software installed or get students started with it. I think that one of the most amazing things happened, and it was fed back from a school in Edinburgh, a school where for children on the autistic spectrum. And it was just a young man who was out of class. He was unsettled. He had left the classroom and had come into the room where the computer with Dragon had been installed, and the teacher there that had been supporting students using it asked why he was upset. He wouldn't say, and she said, well, why don't you sit down and tell Dragon? He was adamant he wouldn't, because he didn't want her to see what he was going to say. So she left the room and left him with a headset on, chatting away to the computer, and she could see that the text was coming up on the screen. He then deleted it all and left the room again, and passing her, said, "I'm away back to class now." And she just thought, knowing the young man and knowing his difficulties, he had been able to offload whatever was worrying him that had made him leave the class into the computer using Dragon, and this had settled him enough for him to return to class. So just it's almost like a whole project in itself, that working using speech recognition with those on the autistic spectrum. But I was most interested in that story, I think, so slightly unusual and unexpected result from the project.
Oh, that's very interesting. Well, folks, you've seen Shirley demonstrating Dragon. Obviously, she's been using it for a long time, but it's much improved, and it doesn't take us long to get to use it. What are your own thoughts? Is it something you'd like to get involved in, something you'd like to try with pupils, with students possibly? Just pop down your thoughts into the box, and then we'll finish up soon.